Hello Bronze College Math 1 student. Today we will finally start algebra, and we will use algebra to create mathematical model, and that's how we're going to start our conversation with algebra, because that will kind of allow us to understand the importance of algebra. And I will tell you two things. I'll tell you a story and I'll give you some data, and I'll allow you to use mathematical modeling to figure out, to solve this puzzle. And here's the story. I was NASA astronaut. I was working on the Mars, and I was kidnapped by Elon Musk and SpaceX. They kidnapped me, they blindfolded me, and they put me in a space shuttle, and 3 days later they told me you are either on the moon or on the earth. And they also told me, figure it out whether you are on the moon or on the earth. So now I know only two information. The acceleration due to gravity on the earth is 9.8 meter per second every second, and acceleration due to gravity on the moon is 1.6 meter per second every second. With these two information, I have to figure out whether I was on the moon or on the earth. I did figure out actually. Now I'll tell you how I did figure out, and I will kind of ask you to do the same by only sharing the data I collected. Here's what I did. Using this information, using this knowledge, I have to figure out whether I am on the moon or on the earth. So I drop a pen from 80 meters above the ground, and I use ruler and the stopwatch to collect this data. At 0 second, the ball that I drop all 0 distance. At the end of 1 second, the ball fall 5 meters. At the end of 2 seconds, the ball fall 20 meters. At the end of 3 seconds, the ball fall 40 meters. And at the end of 4 seconds, the ball was on the ground, which is 80 meters. Okay, so now here is the data I have. Now I start analyzing the data. What I know my quadratic function. Quadratic function is y is equal to ax square plus bx plus c. I know my linear function y is equal to ax plus b. And I also know my linear constant y is equal to c. I happen to know how the graph of quadratic function look like. I also know how the linear function look like if this is x and this is y. I also know how linear constant look like. I also notice that the time is positive, time cannot be negative. So I notice that it should look like kind of this, and this one should look like kind of this, and this one should look like kind of this. Okay, so I have to figure out, how can I figure out whether I am on the earth or on the moon? By this knowledge. What I did, I put this data over here, 0, 5, 20, 45 and 80, and I found the change of y, 5, 15, 25, 35, and I also find change of y. So this is what I call change of y. This is 10, this is 10, this is 10. I see some interesting thing. The change in y is interesting. Now I guess that this is quadratic. This is quadratic. And I guess that this one either linear increasing or linear constant. Alright, so the speed, this I call it speed. So the speed of falling a ball either linear increasing or linear constant, that's my guess. And the distance the falling body covers at the end of every second is quadratic, that's obvious. However, I have to turn into algebraic equation. I have to write it in y is equal to ax squared plus bx plus c. I have to find the value of a, value of b, and value of c. This one I have to figure out whether the speed is, forget about the equation. I know how the equation look like is right here. But I have to first figure out whether the speed of falling body is linear increasing or linear constant. How would I do that? Well, I will be able to do it by dropping a ball again. So let's do that. But it's pretty difficult to see whether object fall with constant speed or it picks up the speed as it getting closer and closer and closer to the ground. I put a glass, I drop the pen from here and I drop the pen from here. If the glass doesn't break, then I would think that the speed of falling object is constant. However, if the glass breaks, then I would know that the ball is speed off as they get closer and closer to the ground. That means I have to drop the object from very close to the glass, and then I have to do the same thing, drop the same object from the higher up. So let's do that. From very close to the glass and from higher up. That tells us that the falling body travels quadratically and is speeds up and it gets closer and closer and closer to the ground, because there is a mysterious force called gravity that supply the acceleration, which we call acceleration due to gravity, which is constant. We have the story and the data. Go use the algebra in data to create a mathematical model which will allow you to predict whether I'm on the earth or on the moon.